Welcome to the Claim Your Day podcast. Here, it's all about taking full advantage of the time we have today and becoming intentional with our actions so we each can have the impact we want. If you want to stop drifting through life and start directing your life, and you're open to a short podcast from someone who's working at the exact same thing, then welcome. You're in the right place, my friend. Hi, I'm your host, Nick Mazey. To respect your time and so you can claim your day, let's dive right in. Hello, my friend, and welcome. Welcome to the Claim Your Day podcast. Thank you for joining in, listening in, participating in this. This is episode 27. Episode 27 of the Claim Your Day podcast. And we've been talking all about making today count. Making today count. That's been the last few episodes. If you missed any of them, you can just scroll back and wherever you're listening to this podcast and check out some of the ones where we dove into a lot of topics all about kind of making the most of our days and making them count, moving forward towards the lives that we want to live and to live those lives fully. Today it's kind of the last of a series. Of course, this has been a little bit more of a hyper focus on it. The whole podcast, is about claiming your day. So we'll dive into some next topics related to that, making the most of our days, and living intentionally next. But today we're wrapping up this short series, and today I want to talk about really just embracing and claiming the power that we have today. Your powerful day today, and really making it count. And so with that, I just want to ask you a question. Do you ever get a little bit lost in the past or even the future? What I mean by that is you spend some time thinking about what you could have done yesterday or last year, or maybe if you'd only done this, or if this had happened, or even thinking about the future. Thinking about so much about the goals of the life you want to have, maybe how it's different than where you're at right now, or what's going on, or how you wish for things to be better. Do you ever spend a significant amount of time thinking about the past or thinking about the future? Also, this episode's for you. And I want you to really think about this a little bit, because the only day that you can live is today. And so what we're going to talk about is it's really the most powerful time that you have is the day that you have today. Yes, we want to learn from yesterday, and yes, we want to prepare for tomorrow. But the only value that you can get out of either learning from yesterday or preparing for tomorrow is by what you do today, how you apply it to today, and how it changes your actions, your behaviors, change what you do, change your attitude, all in the day that we have today. Now, this is actually a very good thing. It's a very good thing that we can't go back and change yesterday or anything in the past. It's already happened. So free yourself from that, because there's absolutely nothing that you can do to go back into the past and change things. That's a good thing. It allows you to give yourself the freedom to really focus on the day that you have today. And the same thing about tomorrow. The same thing about getting lost in thinking about tomorrow and being so focused on what's going to come and what the future might hold, or how you want the future to be different. That the fact that the future is not here yet is actually a good thing. It gives you the freedom to focus on making the most of the day that you have today, and that will impact the future. So the main point for this message, or this episode, is really just it's embracing the power of the present. It's embracing the power, and fully leaning into how great today is, and living it fully, and being intentional with what you do and how you spend your time today. Over this last series, we've talked a lot about some of the different things that go into making today count, such as if it's the small steps that you can take today. So you might not be able to accomplish those massive goals and dreams all in one day. If so, then they're not that massive, in my opinion. But at the same time, you can take those small steps, and those small steps add up over time. Those small steps are going to take you a great distance. And so really focusing on what you can do in one day with those small steps, and honoring it that you're making some progress. That's a huge way to make today count. We talked about that in a previous episode in this series. Another episode, we really focused a lot on the values, on your values, really getting clear and establishing your values. And so that way, what you do on a day-to-day basis can reflect those values, can honor those values to help you to live out those values, thus making your days count. Another episode we talked about mindfulness. And now sometimes people get a little turned off on it once, talk about mindfulness and things like that. There's actually basically, it's all about being present in the current moment that you're in right at that moment. That, my friend, is so important because the only time that you can act is in the present moment. But also, if you're spending too much time in yesterday or tomorrow, or worrying about things or ruminating over things, then that actually steals from the impact that you're able to have today. It steals from your joy, it steals from your happiness, it steals from your focus. And so really taking a little bit of time and being intentional, being mindful, being in the present moment, it's not all just about feeling good. It actually can lead to you being more effective, enjoying your time more, and getting more done. So I said, we talked about that in a previous episode. You can go back and search for that wherever you're listening to this podcast. And then also the habits. We talked about habits, cultivating habits, building the ones that you want to have, being intentional with what we do, especially the things that we do on a regular basis, because that's what ends up making our lives and building our lives. We talked a little bit about in the last episode, reflecting. Just taking a few moments at the end of the day, giving a short pause and reflecting on what you learned, what went well, and what you might want to do different, to be able to make some progress tomorrow. Those are three huge things. They sound real simple, but even just at the end of the day, jotting down, hey, what went well? Write out one of your wins. What did you learn? Always learning and improving. Continually learning and improving. And what you're gonna do tomorrow to make it even better. And that way you're planning out what happens tomorrow. There's some simple things. Cover those in a number of the episodes. But what they all kind of, one thing that brings them all together is that there's power in the present moment. And it's the present moment, the day we have right now, today, is when you can take action. If you want something different in the future, then today's the day that you do the work. You start doing the work, you take the small steps, and that's what's going to end up changing the future, not sitting there focusing on it, thinking about it way too much. So what can you do to fully live today? Living out your values today, being present today. This episode, the main thing I want you to take away from is that you have to live as there's value, there's meaning in fully living in the moment today. Yes, we're going to learn from yesterday. Yes, we're going to plan for tomorrow, certainly. But it's today where we need to spend the far, far, far majority of our time. Mentally, physically, doing the things that we're doing today that are aligned with your values. What are you doing today to honor the power that today holds? Are you spending too much time in the past? Are you spending too much time in the future? Are you kind of what they call catastrophizing? Like, oh, it's all doom and gloom. Are you doing that? Or are you making the most of what you can do today? That's a question that you got to answer for yourself. I can't answer that for you, obviously, but you can answer it for yourself. And if you feel like, hey, maybe I'm not on the right side of that, or maybe I need to make an adjustment, then it might be time to have a little bit of a conversation with yourself. This is something that it sounds silly, talking to yourself. You're not crazy if you do it, or better not be, because I do it all the time. But talking to yourself, and what I'm talking about with this is giving yourself a little bit of encouragement and reminding yourself of what you can do today. Reminding yourself that if you're doing these things, the small steps, if you're honoring your values, if you're honing your habits, if you're trying to be a little bit mindful and be in the present moment, if you're reflecting on the days and so that you can learn from them and prepare for tomorrow, remind yourself, you give yourself a little bit of encouragement and pep talk that by doing these simple, small things today, you're actually helping to create that future that you want. That's where, a lot of the frustration comes when you're doing the work on a daily basis, but you don't give yourself credit for it. Have you ever been there? Where you feel like you're just grinding, and you're grinding, you're doing the things that you need to do, you're doing good work. You're putting in your effort, you're caring for your family, you're doing those things you need to do for your job. So you're doing all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you don't feel it. Well, that might be because you're not giving yourself the credit for the effort that you're doing. And if that's the case, then yes, a simple little affirmation, basically just some encouragement to give to yourself. Remind yourself of how hard you're working and that your values are worth it. Remind yourself of your values and what you're living out, why you're tired, and that if it's any bit related to caring for your family, doing your job well, then that's all about the value that you're adding and how you are living out those values on a daily basis. Give yourself that encouragement. A little bit of that simple affirmation and encouragement, what it does, it helps to reinforce what you're doing and that it is your choice to do that and that it is valuable. I want you to think about encouraging yourself because that can help with the commitment to living your days fully. That can help with the commitment to making your days count and helping you to stay on track with what you believe is most important for you, your life, and your family. And when you repeat a little bit of that affirmation and that encouragement regularly, see, there's something that's really neat. Some of those most powerful words you'll ever hear in your life are the ones you tell yourself. The most powerful words you're going to hear are the ones you tell yourself. Now, yes, you might hear something powerful from somebody else, but when you repeat it to yourself and you believe it, that's when it becomes even more powerful. So make sure that you're telling yourself the things that you need to hear because you'll end up believing them. And that will help you to stay on track for what you need for your life. I'm not going to tell you what that is. And I really don't even like giving examples too much of different affirmations or encouraging statements because it needs to be personal for you. What you think is most important for you, your life, your family, and being that encouraging voice that you hear. Not everybody has those real encouraging voices in their lives from friends or family. And that's okay. It's not ideal, obviously, but if that's you, or if you just need a little bit of extra, or sometimes it just makes the most sense to have it come from you. Remind yourself of the work that you're doing, the value that you're adding, the steps that you're taking, that progress that you're making, and make that progress today to fully live this day that you have today out to its greatest capability. That way you can make the impact that you want to make. You can live your values out. You can be intentional with the days that you have, because today you're not going to get today back. You can make it count, my friend. You really can. You have the power to make today count. You do. There's power in today, and you can claim it. You can claim your day, my friend. I want you to embrace this power and live this present moment out, live it out fully, and make it the best that it can be. It's worth it. And if you want any resources for that, I have your intentional day. It's like a worksheet. It's a simple formula where you can really zero in on your values and what you can do, the small steps that you can do today to make today count so that you can live out your values for your life and your family and what's most important to you. You can go to nickmazy.com. It's in the menu, your intentional day formula. And you can get that there. There's also a life drift quiz on my website. And it's just some simple questions to help you evaluate, if you're drifting or if you need to take a little bit more effort and to be intentional with what you're doing so that you can live the life you want to live. Go check out nickmazy.com for some of those resources. And if you got any value out of this podcast or any of this series, I'd greatly appreciate it if you would rate it, review it, or share it, whatever makes the most sense for you. I'd appreciate it. It would help somebody else find it that might be able to get some value out of it too. Thank you for listening. Take care. Claim your day, my friend. You can do it. All right. Talk to you in the next episode.